Bass.
And you guys were on Blue Note at that point?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. We did I think 4 albums on Blue Note before we ended up over at Heads Up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Head to the Past. You had a woman singing on that? I mean, what was happening with like the members of the act at that point?
Well, you know, if for anybody who's seen Pieces of a Dream over the years and followed us from basically beginning to now, you know, we've had band members in and out of this band for a long time, and many of them. Okay. I think each Pieces of a Dream band brought a different sound, you know, brought a different vibe to the music, and none of it was bad. So, you know, we've been able to be pretty much successful even with the changing of the guard, so to speak. You know, we've been able to maintain our audience with the changing of band members, because the two mainstays were me and James. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the band, whoever they may be, basically fed off of us, what we did on stage. And we basically wrote most of the stuff, unless there were outside writers. So, you know, our sound pretty much stayed consistent. It grew, our sound grew, because we started writing for, you know, more members of the band. So we actually had to expand our band. The band is like 7 people on stage now. So, but, you know, because we like to use horns and strings and all kind of other sounds in the band, we write for that. So, of course, we had, and plus guitar and percussion were the last 2 members to join our band at this point. So we had to, you know, we wrote all of that stuff in the music before. So we figured, let's get all this stuff in the band, you know. And so there you have it.
So there's some core pieces of the dream and then like fragments of the dream.
There you go. But there are only 2 main pieces. So
well, they fit together very well.
Well, thank you.
Acquainted with the Night, you had Gerald Albright on there, and you really got into Diana Ross on that album.
That was another James thing. And don't get me wrong, because I like Diana Ross and everything. I just don't know if she fit our concept. You know, but that was also, I think, a collaboration between James and Dave Love on picking songs for that CD. Because if I'm not mistaken, that's not the only time we did a Diana Ross song.
Well, 2 were on that record at least. It was
okay.
Mahogany and I think Love Hangover or something, or what was the other one? It was Upside Down.
And yeah, Upside Down and
Theme from Mahogany.
Oh, right, Theme from Mahogany. Yeah, right.
You know where you're going to. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah, that's like I said. I think James and Dave Love thought that would actually. I don't know if that was supposed to be singles or just something that was familiar to the ear for people to listen to, you know. But I don't even know if anybody actually, noticed those songs on the CD because we've never been asked to play them or anything. So
You mentioned earlier, Kurt, about I think you mentioned All About Love and one of the other like standard type tracks.
Oh yeah, Shadow of Your Smile.
Yeah. On Love Silhouette.
And we also did
Funny
Round
Valentine.
Midnight. We did a funky version of Round Midnight, which I loved. That was with Lenny White. We did that.
Is that on Joyride or the other
That's on, yes.
Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, that's either on, no, that's on Makes You Wanna, if I'm not mistaken.
I can tell you for sure. Yeah, you're right. Yep.
That's Makes You Wanna?
Yeah.
That I love that one. That's a nice arrangement. That was a beautiful arrangement, and a nice funky arrangement too, of a jazz standard, of a big band standard actually. So
yeah, Holding Back the Years on there too. Was that the Simply Red cover?
yes, that's a Simply Red cover. That's a very beautiful one too. And Careless Whispers I liked too, which was on Joyride. The one, and that's the one Maurice White produced, if I'm not mistaken.
And then My Funny Valentine, as I was saying, popped up on Love Silhouette.
Yes.
And you had a 9/11 tribute on that.
Yeah, that was the one James wrote. And that's a very beautiful song. And I guess he felt that, he wanted to write something for all the people, not only that lost their lives, but for the people that helped out. You know what I mean? Because that was a very tragic thing that happened to those buildings. And my wife was actually working in New York at that time. We weren't married at that time, but we had just started dating, and she was actually working in New York at that time, and I was living in DC. I came in, and I had a roommate, and I came in. He was watching TV. I thought he was watching some action movie where I saw the tower fall, and I saw a plane hit the other one. He said, "No, this is real." I said, "What?" And so, of course, that whole day we were glued to the news. And so, but fortunately, the young lady who is now my wife, she was okay and was not in that building, in either of those buildings. But man, you got to feel for the people who not only lost their lives, but whose loved ones they were, and all the people that still suffered afterwards from all of the dust they inhaled trying to help out and everything. It's just, that whole thing is just really, and hopefully nothing ever again happens like that anywhere. You know what I mean? Because that man, that was deeply tragic.
Oh, no question. I was there like a couple months later, and it was still like smoke coming up from there.
Right.
Yeah.
They used to have a concert series right there at the Trade Center. It was they used to have a jazz concert series, and we played that concert series for 3 years, if I'm not mistaken. They had us 3 times, and it was right at the foot of one of the towers of the World Trade Center. And and it's funny looking at New York now, and they are not there. It's still, you still miss those buildings.
They're so iconic. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you still miss them. It's like, it doesn't even look like New York without them anymore.
And every time I see a movie or something, they show them. Every time it's like, oh.
Yeah, right. Especially you see a movie from back in that time, and you see the trade centers and realize they're no longer there.
And everything it represents, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I wanted to ask you, Kurt. We've mentioned smooth jazz many times, and I want to get your take on if you feel like, just that term as a genre has gotten a bad rap in some ways, in some circles. I know,
in what way?
Like that it's, well, in different ways, like maybe that it's sort of compromising jazz, or that it's, watered down jazz or that kind of thing, or that I had Tom Brown on, and I think he doesn't even like that term to be used for what he does because he thinks the connotation maybe it's not that great.
Mm-hmm.
He'd rather call it like mellow jazz or something or whatever, but
Now, like I said earlier, when you say quote unquote smooth jazz, now see what I consider Pieces of a Dream to be, we're a jazz funk band. To tell you the truth. If you've ever seen us in concert and listened to our albums or CDs, we're a high energy band. Okay. And that actually definitely shows in concert. But I think it shows in our music, in the music we write also. I mean, like I said, if you listen to, like, say, the new album, A Pieces Fiesta, Kicking and Screaming, things like that. Man, I should have this album in front of me so I know what I'm looking at. And even a couple of the ones that James wrote, not just Funkin' Around. Yeah, Just Funkin' Around from the last album. Those are funky songs. It's not, and there's nothing watered down about them. Okay. And I understand what they're talking about, but let me put it this way. Musicians and writers write what they feel, okay? Whether somebody else considers it watered down or not, that's, maybe their interpretation, because y'all know you've heard this saying many times, what one person's poison is somebody else's gold. You know what I mean? So, what one person may like, somebody might not like. So I think it's an opinion, and everybody has one. I think that there are different levels of smooth jazz too. Mm-hmm. Even within that genre, there's different categories of smooth jazz, because you do have your more mellow stuff, and you do have your more funkier stuff, and then you got somewhat in the middle of the road. Okay, that's not totally funk based and not totally mellow, but it's like right there. You know what I mean? So I don't think. My opinion about that is music is music. Like I said, what one person might like, another might not. So,
What was it? I think maybe it was just a term really that came out for like more easily, like formatting a radio or something.
Mm-hmm.
It's rather than strict genre, right?
Yeah, I understand, and I understand that. Yeah. If that's why they have different stations, so that you can turn the dial if you want. So, like I said, somebody's going to sit there and listen to it, and somebody's not. Somebody's going to. Now, maybe they should have more than one type of smooth jazz station. Maybe we can develop that. But the thing is that smooth jazz radio has, other than Watercolors on Sirius XM, has basically disappeared. So all the diversity that you would have gotten in your smooth jazz radio, you can only get from one station now, unless you listen to internet radio, basically. Okay, and that's the only way to go now, because you can't. There are no more basically bandwidth stations anymore. So,
how much freedom have your labels given you in terms of material, and have they, tried to, steer you toward a certain sound or songs, or how much creative freedom have you had throughout your career with the different labels?
Well, the Shawnee label that we're on now is way more liberal than than the other labels have been, because we felt that we should have been producing ourselves a long time ago. And I feel that some of those labels have wasted their money on getting producers for us because right now we've written stuff that, like I said, has gone to the top of the Billboard Contemporary Jazz charts. So and had we been given this shot earlier, I think we could have done the same for those other labels. But Shawnee is the one that gave us this chance to do that, and we're proving that we can hang with the big dogs.
So the first record on that label was In the Moment.
Say again?
The first record on that label was In the Moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And ever since we've been with that label, they have given us complete autonomy on what we wanted to do in molding our own sound.
I felt like, though, starting with No Assembly Required, that you guys went back definitely to more funk in general.
Yeah, I think we did too. And I think that was the beginning of the sound that we've accumulated now. That was the kind of the embryo stage of it, I think. But I definitely think our sound has grown and matured since that record.
And another Earth, Wind & Fire cover on that one, Devotion.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, like I said, we really liked Earth, Wind & Fire. So. Ever since we were kids, man. So.
Nothing wrong with that. So, I mean, you actually, the record before the last one, you even had funk in the title, so when you did just Funkin' Around, mm-hmm. Were you thinking that you wanted to make sort of a little bit of a statement in calling it that?
Yes, and while trying to be kind of cute in the title too. Instead of just funning around, just funking around, because we like funk music. So that kind of explained that title, And if you look at the back of the album cover on that one, me and James are just clowning around big time. So, like I'm ready to play on his keyboard with my drumsticks. So,
you guys have that much fun on most records, or just that one?
No, actually, that was probably the most fun record we've had. But I'll tell you, I mean, since we've been able to produce ourselves, the writing, it's really been fun for me writing. It has really been fun for me writing. And even James has complimented me on the different kind of stuff I've come up with, because back in the day, he did a lot of the writing himself. So, I wrote here and there, but I just felt like I wasn't really able to be myself in my writing with, I guess, the way the record companies were handling us.
I got to say, typically, and I don't have credits here for it, so I don't know like which tracks you wrote on Just Funkin' Around.
Well, that's on Just Funkin' Around. I wrote part of that one.
What about
the song?
No Doubt? Were you involved in that one?
No, not that. No Doubt. That's David Dyson.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
I like that one too.
Huh?
I like that one also. Title track and that one.
Yeah, that's David Dyson's song, and he did a nice job on that. He did a very nice job on that.
What about Human Interface from the one before that?
That's James.
And
Human Interface is on All In?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I wrote the song All In, the title cut. And a few more, which like I said, I don't have a list of songs in front of me, so, and we've got over 200 songs, so it's gonna be hard for me to think of names at this point. But if you say them, I know them.
We also you came with the new jazz swing on that one record too, which is on In the Moment.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was James's writing also.
that was him too. Step on It. APB.
That's me and my writing partner, Benny Sims. And
Yeah.
he's from my other group, New Foundation.
That one had sort of a more rocky kind of guitar on it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we kind of wanted to get a little bit edgier on that particular cut. That I know that had like a slower funk groove to it, but we wanted to get just a little bit edgier with the rock guitar, and a lot of people like that song. I got a lot of compliments on that song.
Yeah, I like it too. Trifling, did that one.
That was Cherie Mitchell that wrote that one.
Dice It Up.
That's David Dyson.
Yeah, that one's real funky.
Mm-hmm.
Want a Piece of This?
I think that's James.
I just highlighted some. You know, this is probably James too, but Misty Eyed is a ballad on In the Moment that gives me a very Isley Brothers kind of feel.
Oh, okay. Now I haven't heard that one in a while, so trying to actually figure out how that one sounds.
Yeah,
that's one I haven't heard in a while.
I can't sing, so that's not going to happen.
But I mean, you know, sometimes you hear stuff, you know, you want to kind of go back in time a little bit and steal something that might sound familiar to people, you know. So, you know, and James is really good at that, as far as, you know, like taking a piece of the Isley Brothers or maybe something from the Commodores or something like that, you know. On Kicking and Screaming, I took something from what's the name of that song? The Real Thing Going Down. Dun, 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 going down and down.
Oh,
Is a whole... Yeah, I took the bass line from that to put on my bridge on Kicking and Screaming. So it's do ding 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 ding. So I only use a small piece of it, but you know, that was a groove that I really liked from back in the day. So I kind of took a little piece of it and put it in, you know, what is now the single Kicking and Screaming. So
yeah.
So every once in a while we'll do that.
Hey, as long as you put your own thing on it, you know. Although these days you never know with how litigious and crazy some things have gotten.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and yeah, so you can't actually steal. You can't steal, but you're allowed a certain amount of bars of a record that you can actually steal, and then after that you gotta pay for it. So you know, but
speaking of that, have you guys has Pieces of a Dream been sampled much?
Oh, Mount Airy Groove has been sampled over and over again, man. Some people have even used the whole track. Grandmaster Flash did a rap on it back in the day. And every once in a while, I'll hear little inserts like the scratching or the ping pong sound on the thing that sounds like the TV tennis in the bridge.
Pong. Yeah.
You know, I'll hear that sound. You know, I'll hear some of those sounds every once in a while in a record by somebody else. So.
Yeah,
that song's been sampled repeatedly. So
when it first happened, how did you react to it being picked up and used like that?
Actually, we were honored because you know it's like, wow, they thought enough of us to use it. You know, so it's all good.
How'd you feel when you first heard your music on the radio?
Oh my God, we went berserk. We were actually washing our bass player's mother's car. She was loaning us the car to go out that night. And we were washing the car And then our very first record, Warm Weather, came on. And we stopped and looked at each other and then started screaming. We started going crazy. Turn up the radio, turn up the radio. So I mean, and it's a surreal moment, put it that way. It's definitely a surreal moment. And you can't believe it. This is something you actually created. So, you put it out there and it's on your record. So, so it was great. It was a great feeling.
How old were you then? Do you remember?
It's my first record, 17, I think.
Wow. So did that make you big man on high school campus or what?
Actually, yeah, I graduated high school at 17. So, and it came out that summer. And so my first year of college, I started college while I was 17. So, and people knew who we were when we got to college, because me and Cedric were actually roommates in college, my bass player at the time. And we were actually in the same classes too. So people saw us together all the time, so they knew who we were.
Were you majoring in music or something else?
No. Well, the intent was to major in music. We were actually liberal arts majors for a minute. And then the next year we were going to major in music. And actually my grandfather was going to be our professor. So, but because we went to
automatic A.
Yeah, right. But as it happened, Grover took us out on tour instead. So we ended up going out on tour and had to leave college at that particular point. We tried to do both, but it just didn't. The grades were suffering, so, and we didn't want to fail in college, so we kind of took a leave of college and went on the road and developed a career. So.
Yeah, with Professor Washington.
Yeah, how about that?
How about that? Did you? You've also worked with some other acts outside of Pieces of a Dream, right? So, what are some of those things you've done? Other projects? I know
that I played
this New Foundations group, and
yeah, New Foundation was my other group. We did one album, and that's with the partner I mentioned earlier, Benny Sims, up in Reading, Pennsylvania. And at the time, it's a shame that album didn't go any further than it did, because a lot of people liked it, but the music industry started suffering at that point, and that's at a time where a lot of labels were not taking on new acts. Even though I had a name at the time, they just did not want to spend the money to get a new act off the ground, because it wasn't like we were child prodigies or anything, you know what I mean? But we featured Phil Perry on that album, one of the cuts on that album, on a song called Holding On. He did a bang up job on that. And that's an album I felt that had it been a different time, it could have definitely done a lot better than it was. And I had more success with the gospel album I did with my pastor. We actually won the 2016 Radio Alliance Award for CD of the Year and Song of the Year in the gospel genre. So, and I mean, I've played with people like Gene Carn and Regina Bell, man, a whole slew of people. The OJs I played with. I had to sub for their drummer at one point, and I did a gig up in Boston with them. So, but I've had a lot of fun doing what I do and playing with the different artists that I've been blessed to play with.
So was New Foundation intended to be a complement to Pieces of a Dream, or were you thinking you might go off in just a different direction?
That group came about at a time where I wanted to do more writing for a different situation. I guess I wanted, to see what, a different flavor, how a different flavor would, go if I were to try to do something else with another individual or just something else, period. I just kind of wanted to stretch my writing legs, I guess, And so that's a song where I had a hand in writing the whole album along with a partner of mine, Benny Sims, who actually was the music director for the 3 Degrees. At one time, if you remember the 3 Degrees.
Yeah, when will I see you again?
Huh?
When will I see you again?
Yeah, yep, exactly. So he was a bass player who had been in Pieces at one time also. And we became really good friends and decided to just, do an album together. And we had a lot of fun doing it. And it was an album that really I wish would have taken off. And then I'd had 2 different incomes, but for whatever reason, for certain reasons, at that time the music industry was diminishing. Actually, a lot of people were getting fired too, being let go from labels at that time when that album came out. So
because of the whole digital
downsizing and everything, huh?
Because of the whole digital downloading and transfer.
Yeah, well, not just that, because I think that was just before the downloading thing really took off. I just think the record companies were, the economy and everything was really just not doing well. Mm-hmm. A lot of record labels were downsizing, so they were letting a lot of people go, and they weren't taking on new acts unless you were like a Beyonce or a Taylor Swift or somebody like that, So, like I said, timing is everything, and that was just the wrong time.
Yeah. So, do you think you might do another project? You mentioned working with this youngster.
Yeah, Justin Lee Schultz.
What's he play?
Yeah, I'm actually. Well, he's actually in our band at this point. He's an addition to Pieces of a Dream right now.
What does he play?
He plays keyboards.
Okay.
And if you can actually YouTube Justin Lee Schultz, and you'll see him. And his sister plays drums, and she's, I think, 15 or 16. His father plays bass and guitar. So you can see their whole family just about playing on YouTube if you YouTube him. But you'll see what a fun, and you'll probably see some concerts with us too, with him in the band. Some of Pieces of a Dream shows with him in it.
How did that connection happen with you?
I think James met him through Alexander Zonchek. If you know who Alex is, the flautist.
Okay.
Alexander Zonchek. James is a good friend of Alexander's, and Justin, I think, opened up for Alex at one point, and James was on the same show with Alexander, and met Justin, and James came home called me and told me about this young kid. He was 12 at the time, and said, "Man, this kid is phenomenal." And he's like, "Well, I'm thinking about, and our keyboardist, the additional keyboardist that we had, was leaving the band because he got an offer from his church to become the music director, the minister of music." And so it was like perfect timing, but I was kind of sketchy about having this youngster that we had to be responsible for in our band. I said, "Well, we could do it, but his father's going to have to come on the road with him." So, and then when I heard him play, I watched him on YouTube, and I was like, "Yeah, he's good." But then when I saw him live, and he was playing with us, I was like, "Man, this kid is off the chain." So, and he's a great kid too. His personality is great. He's got a nice family, and his whole family is very nice and everything. And they come with him to every show, all of them. So, but this kid, he's very humble, wants to learn, and is a great player on top of that. And he's got a beautiful heart. So, and with that combination of things, he's going to go far. you know. And besides that, the way Grover brought us up, you know, we're basically doing the same thing Grover did for us, which is giving another youngster a shot at having a career doing something he loves to do, you know, just like what was done for us. So what we're doing is basically kind of paying it forward and, you know, giving another youngster a shot to do what he's dreamed of doing and doing it as a professional, you know, not just in somebody's garage band or, you know, because this kid deserves to be heard by the world.
Wow. So how does he balance that with school?
He's homeschooled. Him and his sister both are homeschooled. So, and they're very intelligent. So there's nothing lacking there.
We'll definitely have to check him out.
Yeah, because I do believe his mother actually is a school teacher. So, if I'm not mistaken, so they got it together.
Curtis, you look back, you know, you mentioned the Japan show, but is there some other show that maybe just, or experience from the road that just stands out to you as being an unforgettable experience? It could be something funny happened or maybe something touching or whatever reason.
Mm-hmm. No, I would have to say the Hollywood Bowl, the first time we ever did the Playboy Jazz Festival. And even though that was with Grover, we were in concert with people like Nancy Wilson, Miles Davis, Al Jarreau, Joe Williams, and Mercer Ellington's band. I mean, we were in concert with such big people, man. It's like, wow. And we played as Pieces of a Dream on that show. And then we came out and backed Grover. So, you know, not only was it double pay, but it was double exposure for us, you know. And you can't beat that kind of exposure. And growing up, you see people playing at the Hollywood Bowl. Especially if you're in the music industry, if you're a musician, you're growing up watching people play at the Hollywood Bowl in places like Carnegie Hall and Radio City Music Hall, the Apollo Theater. Never thinking you're going to be able to do that. And here it is. I've done all of them. Yeah, I've been able to do all of them. So, wow. You know, and travel. So, you know, like I said, this career has been a blessing, you know.
Do they still do the Playboy Jazz Fest or is that over?
I'm not sure. They still do concerts at the Hollywood Bowl, though, because we did one last year. So, and I don't think that was the Playboy Jazz Festival, though.
Yeah, I mean, I always remember that because I grew up out there.
Okay.
But I'm thinking maybe they don't do that one anymore, which is too bad.
I'm not sure. They might, though. They actually might. You have to look that one up because they might do that one. They might still do that.
Yeah, yeah, maybe.
We still have festivals at the bowl. So.
What is it that you'd still like to accomplish?
I like to do a movie score, actually. Write for television. You know, I like to get into the visual arts with my music. It's something that I actually always wanted to do. And something that I feel that I would actually be pretty decent at doing, too. Because it's funny, when I look at movies and look at television, I actually listen to the music behind the scenes. You know, look at what's going on and hear the mood of the music that the music sets for that particular scene. And sometimes I go, I could do that. You know, and I think it's something I would really enjoy.
Are you a movie buff?
Yes. Oh, big time. Big time. Yeah, me and my wife both. And of recent, I've been really into the classic movies because some of my favorite actors are Cary Grant, Humphrey Bogart, James Cagney, Eddie G, you know, George Raft, George Brent. Of course, I like Betty Davis and Myrna Loy. I'm forgetting my girl. Katharine Hepburn. Spencer Tracy. I love all their movies and stuff. So.
Do you have Turner Movie Classics?
Oh yes, most definitely.
Good on that, right?
Most definitely.
My wife loves that too.
And so you can go to YouTube and get classic movies also. So I've been doing that too. So, but I like the westerns too. Randolph Scott, John Wayne, Clint Eastwood, and all those guys too. So.
Yeah, western is entirely different kind of music.
Richard Widmark, And a lot of my friends don't even know who a lot of these people are. So,
well, of course,
they know the big ones like Humphrey Bogart and Eddie G and James Cagney and Katharine Hepburn, Betty Davis. But if I say somebody like George Brent or even George Raft, some people don't. Richard Widmark, Randolph Scott. People don't know who they are. And I'm like, come on, you gotta know these people. But I guess I'm more of a classic movie buff than a lot of people. So,
what is it? Which album? Is there an album that you've done that you think is your favorite or you're most proud of?
I like the one, the self-titled Pieces. We got to work with a lot of different producers on that one, but the music. Even though it's kind of eclectic, it's still very much Pieces of a Dream, and you could tell the producers we had were different producers on different songs, because none of them sound. Sometimes I think they sound like they shouldn't be on the same album, you know what I mean? And that's why I call it eclectic, but it still sounds like Pieces of a Dream. You know what I mean? So that's one of my favorites. And this last one, On Another Note.
So if somebody was just looking to get into you guys unbelievably for the first time, maybe they're young, what record would you recommend that they start their journey with?
Now, I would actually say start your journey with the second album. We were still getting our feet wet, but we had a grasp on what we kind of wanted to start sounding like. All right, and then I would say go to Makes You Wanna. Joyride. I'm sorry, Joyride, and then go to Makes You Wanna, because those two albums kind of have a similar vibe about them. And Lenny White had something to do with both of those. But you can hear the production quality in those, from Maurice White and Lenny White. And I think our playing had grown at that point from the first and second album too. Then I'm going to say, if you really like R&B, go to About That Time, okay? For the R&B side of people, fans that we have. For still the smooth jazz people, I would say In Flight, okay? And then I would say All In, and the last few.
There you go.
All In, Just Funkin' Around, to On Another Note.
So when's you working on the next one yet, or?
I'm gonna say yes and no. I'm about to start working on the next one, and I got some stuff that I've got some stuff in the can that I could just pull out and finish, or I can start from. And I know I had to start some from scratch, but I've actually started one that I want to feature Lindsey Webster with us on, and she's a vocalist. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She's an up and coming vocalist. Actually, well, I can't say up and coming because she's actually kind of well known. But I love her voice, and we actually got a chance to meet her because she's my guitar player's fiance. And but she's really taken off now, and but she, she has a really nice voice. And
is she jazzy or more R&B, or what's her?
Oh, man, it's hard to describe. Let me see. I wouldn't say R&B. I would say more kind of, what do I say, contemporary, but not contemporary jazz, just contemporary, period.
Okay.
Okay. And I wrote a song, and when she heard it, she called me. She said, I love this song. She said, I'm gonna. She said it's gonna be a minute because I want to do this real justice. So she's working on it right now, and from what I understand, she has most of it done, but she wants to finish off the bridge because she was hearing the bridge one way, but I played it another way. And then she listened to it. She said, "You know what? Never mind. I can come up with something for what you played." So she's working on that song now. But I think the song, once I hear it, and I told her I didn't want to hear it until it was all put together. But she was going to send me what she had, and I was like, "No, I want to hear it when it's all put together." So she's gonna, within the next week or so, I'm probably gonna get what she's done.
Where do they live?
She lives in New York. But the guitar player, wait a minute, or does she live in Atlanta? And her parents are in New York. I know she has ties in New York. That's what I do know. And she's in New York a lot of the time. But my guitar player lives in Atlanta. So they just became recently engaged. So I don't know if she's moved to Atlanta or if he's like going back and forth to New York or not. So I do know he spends a lot of time in New York now too. So
is a plan, if there is a plan, sort of to try to put out one Pieces of a Dream record like every 2 years, and then?
Yeah, I think that's the best formula for us because I know the record company wanted us to do an album a year, and I just think it doesn't give the current album, or CD, I should say, a chance to really get to everybody, or a chance to, for people to familiarize themselves with the whole record. I think if you put out an album, if you've done an album this year and put out one next year, I think it's going to cut the growth and development of the current CD. So I kind of vote for every 2 years, every other year. That way it gives us a chance to work on other projects too.
Right.
So, because if I had to do an album every year, I wouldn't have time to do anything else. Yeah. So.
And I see you have a date, I think, coming up later this month in March, and a couple in April. Are you going to build some more shows this year, or what do you see there?
Well, we got a management working on gigs all the time for us, so we're going to be doing. I know we're at the Berks Jazz Fest this month, and next month we're. Oh Lord, where am I next month?
I had it here somewhere.
I have it here too. Come to think of it.
Detroit and
you're in a couple places.
Las Vegas after that.
Right. We got the Las Vegas thing coming. The only thing is that we're along with other people getting leery about traveling with this coronavirus going on, and now it's hit Jersey where I live. The first case is hit yesterday, from what I understand. So a guy's in the hospital now, and I know at one place they were talking about closing schools. They're going to close one school already because
that's the first I heard about it on the East Coast.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's over here. It's over here now, and it was only a matter of time because you got the 3 New York airports here. Then you got JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark Liberty. So it was inevitable that it was going to hit here. So it's just they just got to find a way to contain this thing, man. It's too we can't all get sick here. So,
No. Yeah.
but
Well,
luckily,
start,
my next gig is a driving gig, so I don't fly again for another 2 months, I think. So.
okay. That was very good planning on your part.
That's just the way it fell, man.
Still living that charmed life, Curtis.
Yeah, yeah. So,
So, how can everybody best keep up with all things, both for you and for the group?
well, I have my own. I have actually two Facebook pages. I have Curtis Harmon, and then I have Curtis Harmon Music on Facebook, and I also have a Twitter page and an Instagram page. Pieces of a Dream has Twitter and Facebook. So you can keep up with us on that and our website, piecesofadream.net.
Yeah, I like seeing that you still have your own site going. So many people have like dropped the sites because they have social now, but I think it's still nice to have
Yeah,
that
we,
site.
we may be doing that too, but we're not sure yet. So, we're trying to still build our popularity as much as we can. So,
Yeah. Well, it's been great talking to you and finding all about your history, much more than I knew before. And
well,
I'm sure
thank you.
viewers and
Thank you.
listeners.
It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you. And we'd like to also thank all of our fans that supported us. This is our 43rd year together. So we'd really love to thank all of the people who keeps this train moving and keep us current and keep us, in your homes, in your cars, and on your phones. We love you all. Thank you so much.
So, thank you, Curtis. Continued success.
Thank you. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate it.
Hey, back at Truth and Rhythm headquarters. Thank you for joining us on another magical ride with Truth and Rhythm. Whether you're watching or listening, as always, thank you so much for your continued interest and support. Be sure to subscribe. Go to YouTube, go to the Funk and Stuff channel. That's where Truth and Rhythm lives and breathes and thrives. Also, goodies here like TIR Quick Takes. And if you subscribe, you know what? You get the show before anyone else. It's free. If you love jazz, funk, R&B, soul, you can't miss it. Pass it along. Tell a friend. Tell family. This audience is growing, and it is a beautiful thing, all coming together for the love of this great music. Also, if you can throw us a buck or two, we could use the support financially, keeping the lights on, keeping the servers going, all these expenses. If you can help support the program, whatever you can give, much appreciated. Go to the funkandstuff.net website, and on the right-hand side of every page, you just click and you can donate through PayPal, credit card, whatever. Very easy to do and so much appreciated. And if you do a sizable donation, I will mention you on the program. Also, drop me a line. Email me at scottg@funkandstuff.net. Let me know who else you'd like to see on the show, what you enjoy about the music. Let's just kibitz and talk about stuff, talk music. You'll find that I respond very quickly, and I much enjoy the rapport and the camaraderie and the interaction. Always remember, this is your show, The True Music Lover. So for now, that's all the time we have for this one. It's a wrap. As always, Scott Dr. GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibrating to the rhythm of the one.